Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the podcast all about Joshi Pro Wrestling here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Every other Monday, we are with you talking about the biggest news in Joshi, along with show reviews, previews, and much, much more.
So if you're new to Joshi or you've been a longtime fan, this is the show for you. We've got something for everyone here. So check us out, Jumping Bomb Audio.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Saturday, the 8th of July. I'm joined by Esther as well. Mm-hmm. This is episode 265. Damon, we have the Grade 1 Climax right around the corner, and I know this is something we've discussed on the show previously, but how do you delay your Grade 1 Climax? Do you still use Barry Windham, or have you got new strategies in place?
Yeah, it is still Barry Windham. Barry Windham comes in very handy in those situations. Also, my go-to of Pavel Bure, former Vancouver Canuck. I would just imagine him skating very fast down the ice. But yeah, those are still two. Or I think about like just the most mundane work stuff, like an Excel spreadsheet or something. What do you use? What do you do?
I have to go with like extreme gruesome injuries to put myself off, like some compound fractures, like, you know, Sid Vicious level stuff, or stuff from films. I was watching a film I really enjoyed the other night called Bone Tomahawk. Any listeners, if you've seen it, you know the scene that I'm talking about. And I was watching that and I was thinking, oh my God, that's horrific. That's one of the most awful things I've seen on film. But I'm storing that one away for the, what we calling this, the Grade 1 Climax delay bank. And put it to good use last night. Excellent. It worked a treat.
Fantastic. Well done. Oh my goodness. It is funny though, that how you do have to, I mean, especially when I was younger, like I would be like, I'd have to think of like the dumbest things, like, and it would just be like, it would always be the same vision. Like, okay, so it's Barry Windham. That's mine, of course. That's the joke. But it's always Barry Windham doing the same move, that, you know, that flying forearmy thing coming off, and his bleach blonde hair just wisping in the wind, and his cowboy boots type wrestling gear. Yes, that'll make a man flaccid very quickly.
I'll tell you what else is making me flaccid these days, Damon. All this talk about I don't know if you've been following this bloodline storyline in WWE, where we've got people on the streets shouting that this is like better than cinema, it's better than prestige TV, better than theatre, because this is a story that is evolving and you get a different chapter of it each week in a different sold out venue across the world. What's your take on this sort of pro wrestling versus other art forms debate? Do you think they are at all comparable? Because I was just saying, like, the tweet out before we went on the air, that Naito moment, Wrestle Kingdom 14, where he finally hit the Stardust press, and you were next to me, you saw how I was just absolutely losing my mind then. That's one of my favourite things I've ever seen. Like, in terms of a live event, just being there, that was amazing. However, I also acknowledge that it's absolute nerd shit, and that I'm never going to be telling other people like, oh, this was better than The Godfather, or this is better than The Sopranos, this is better than Shakespeare, because that would be a completely insane and inaccurate thing to say.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's a great example of pro wrestling done right. It's such a simple story that, the wrestler who wants to win the wrestling championship doing the wrestling move. And I think it's just a great example of wrestling staying in its lane. Do you think that there's ever any overlap, or do you prefer those things to be separate?
They are separate. They're separate things. Now, it might elicit similar emotions in you. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. I don't know why. Similar emotions in you, but no, they are not even close to being. Like, imagine you going up to a sane human being and saying that. They would just, or better yet, go up to like a true artist or a true musician, like someone who is a celloist, someone who plays a fucking tuba, and say that. It's just it's offensive. No. Now, is it its own separate art form that pulls from many different genres and types of entertainment? Yes, it has, whereas before it might not have been as much, but now it seems like that is. And once again, Vince has done everything in his power to remove the stigma and the perceived stigma of pro wrestling. He doesn't want any.
Just remove the wrestling.
Yeah.
He's everything he can to remove the wrestling from WWE.
Right, but it's still wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, this restaurant, I am going to not serve. As a bad example. No. I'll make it a good example. We will not serve ice cream here in this ice cream parlor. Well, what are we going to sell? We're an ice cream parlor. I don't. Maybe it was a bad. I was really trying. There was a moment there where my brain was just like, it couldn't keep up. It just petered out.
Yeah, see, we did such a great job with the California roll stuff last week. Now, you thought it was easy. I made it look easy with that, but no, it's not. Food analogies takes years of practice.
You know what? You are a true legend. I'm just a young upstart trying to learn my craft. Are there really people that are comparing it to legitimate film or arts or something like that?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that, and honestly, without actually, no, this is going to be patronising. It's meant to be patronising. If you believe that, then you need to go and read some books and watch some movies. Yeah. Expose yourself to more of the wonderful art that is around us. Yeah. Trust me, I love pro wrestling, but it's not on that level for me.
No, it's not for any human being. It's, I don't know. Like, I just feel like people want to make things nerdier than they are. I'm going to add another level of nerdiness to what is.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think people are so desperate not to be seen as nerds. They don't want to acknowledge that their thing is a very niche, nerdy thing, that they are trying to push back against that and want it to have some sort of mainstream acceptance.
Why? But here's the thing. Why would you want that? Like, the best things in life are those things that you and a pocket of friends enjoy. And maybe, not everyone in your social, it's not, maybe not as mainstream as one would think. And again, I'm talking about shit like, okay, like if you look at my YouTube channels, my subscriptions, it is the fucking, me and Cheryl watch a guy every night. This is our bedtime routine. It does not involve fellatio. Let me make that note.
Barry Windham.
Yeah, no Barry Windham. Barry Windham hasn't been needed for quite a while. What was I going to say? We watch this guy and he has like 2 or 3 little kids. And when I mean little kids, like 4 years old, 6 years old. And he does survival camping in like Alaska with his kids. And so he will make like, I mean, it's not as extreme as it sounds. Like it's not like the kid, is scrounging for food, eating ants. But we watch that, and then I watch, like there's a baseball and a hockey game, but it's not like EA Sports where you control the player and you're scoring the goal. No, it's like that. That game, Football Manager.
Yeah, massive fan of it back in the day. I had to uninstall it because it was so addictive that I knew I'd just sink hundreds of hours into it, so I had to stop.
Well, imagine there being a hockey one and a baseball one. You know what I mean? So like now I'm like kind of super into that. I'm literally sitting in front of a muck airplane yoke and throttle system so that I can fly my imaginary planes all over the world. All right. Do you think that goes over well at the bar? No, it does not. So,
my latest playlist I've been watching on YouTube is these boundary breaks video of people who sort of hack into video games to see, like, during cutscenes and stuff, what's happening beyond the scenes. Like, oh, this sprite was created by overlaying this one on this one, and if you hack the game and move your character out here, then everything turns blue. That's the sort of stuff I like to watch.
Me too. Like that, I would definitely be in that. And then I would like watching. There's this one dude who he doesn't talk at all in the entire video, but he will restore like old video game consoles and handhelds and everything. And he just takes it up. He takes the entire thing up. And I'm like, oh, so that's how that, all right. Okay. That little, and just stupid. Oh my God. Yep. That's us. We're nerds. So I guess the bottom line is this: revel in your nerdiness. That is a joy. You don't want what you love to be mainstream. You really don't. The worst feeling I ever had was going to a 9 Inch Nails concert and seeing people who beat me up in high school. I was like, all that for nothing. All that, and yet you're here.
Did they beat you up again?
Yeah. Yep. They took off, they de-pantsed me. It made me run around on stage with my willy hanging out.
Damon, elephant in the room. What's happened to your voice?
I don't know. It's just I woke up with it. It's like a very
Okay, so you haven't been like screaming at your TV with passionate Roman Reigns soliloquies. Then this is just a random illness.
No, and yeah. I mean, honestly, it's probably because I snored like a fucking buzzsaw last night, and my throat is all dry and shit. Okay, I'm all right though. I'm sorry for the voice.
No, that's okay. If you need to rehydrate yourself, just say the words, and I can talk about some. What can I talk to you about? What I've been watching on YouTube lately. Yes, I'm scrolling through my YouTube. No, I'm not going to go down this rabbit.
Yeah. No, come on, do it. Do it.
No,
I just want
absolutely no interest in that.
No, I want 2 more. Just the themes. Come on.
Okay, one video. Preston Jacobs, confusing parts of the Song of Ice and Fire book series, the Game of Thrones book series. So bits of the book that he found confusing.
Okay.
20 minutes on that.
All right.
That was a good one. And a Kaizo Mario speedrun. So Kaizo Mario games are like people who sort of hack into Mario games and sort of custom create their own impossible levels, where you'd have to use sort of like save states to get through it. You load up the level and immediately Mario will be like falling onto spikes and getting attacked by bullets. So people speed running these insane games. So there we go. But that's the sort of stuff that I will tell you more about if you need a drink at some point. But anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. We've got the Independence Day shows, and I'd like to do a full comprehensive preview and breakdown of the G1 Climax because I can't wait, Damon. It's that time of the year. I'm really, really excited about it. This year, on paper, it looks great, so I'm thrilled to be breaking that down with you. But let's do Independence Day first. So this was a double-header at Korakuen Hall on the 4th and 5th of July. And just overall thoughts. I mean, I thought the crowd, the atmosphere, the whole vibe in the arena was great. I loved hearing all like the American chanting, like the "This is awesome" chants and all of that. That was a nice touch. From what I understand, a lot of Freedoms fans in the house, like you could hear them just absolutely losing their minds for Jun Kasai. I think he was probably the tipping point that put night 1 into a sellout. I don't think night 2 actually sold out. So I think the Freedoms fans cannot be understated in their contributions towards both the ticket sales and the atmosphere of these shows. It was great to have Ian Riccoboni there. I thought he and Chris were outstanding together. And again, a lot of consternation about this being on pay-per-view again. I still don't agree that we are heading down the road of everything being locked behind pay-per-view. I still think we're going to get our core events for included in the 999 yen subscription package. But I mean, overall, how did you enjoy these Independence Day shows?
They did have a different feel, and which was definitely welcoming. When you get shows like these and you bring in the outside elements of again free, like would those Freedoms fans be at a regular old Road to Korakuen show? Probably not. Maybe, but probably not, because here's the thing: when they are there, they're very noisy, very active. So yeah, I mean, they just added I guess a different element. To me, it didn't feel like a New Japan show, but yet it did, right? Like it didn't. To me, I didn't get the vibe I was watching a New Japan Strong show as much as I felt like I was watching a like almost like an all-in show. This is what I felt, because all these guys that you don't see, and a lot of these guys, their first time in the building, or maybe second time. It's that makes it special. That there was a like I'm having difficulty trying to describe the difference, but there was an absolutely different vibe, and it wasn't. I don't know. Like if I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to come up with the analogy, but like I'm thinking like, I don't know, your favorite. No, I ain't gonna do it. Fuck that. I don't have it. But
yeah, you've learned your lesson. With analogy. Yeah, stay in your lane, mate. Come on.
I got to bail out on that. But no, I definitely felt a different vibe and a welcoming vibe from these shows that were, again, different from New Japan as a whole. It just had a different feeling than a New Japan show.
All right, well, I'm not going to go match by match. I'll sort of categorize stuff by theme. So let's talk about the deathmatch stuff first. So the second night, we had the final deathmatch. John Moxley beat El Desperado in 20 minutes, 33 seconds with a Death Rider. And then the main event of night 1 was an exciting encounter Doomsday no DQ match with Jun Kasai and El Desperado defeating Homicide and John Moxley, 18 minutes, 34 seconds. Actually, there's no point me going through the moves, is there? Basically, this is the deathmatch stuff that you would expect here. Everyone just pissing bloods, ridiculously violent spots, a lot of creativity. I mean, the thing that's going to stay in my head really is the crowd reception when Jun Kasai's music started playing. People just lost their minds there. Just like the joy on Despy's face as he was like dancing along to the music. He obviously adores the guy. So we've got a lot of questions on this one. Nathan says, would you, Joel, let your little ones watch the main event of night 1 of Strong Independence Day? Absolutely not. No, I would not. Troy says, would you like more death matches in New Japan in the future? Gig says, screw that American block nonsense. Should we have a death match block in the G1? Aramitha says, what was the most dudes rock moment of Moxley versus Despy? Personally, I would choose when Despy brought out the bamboo skewers and handed half of them to Mox. My favourite was actually the exciting encounter Doomsday no DQ tag match, where they actually built to 2 hot tags in the latter parts of the match. There's like Despy on the outside, tag me in, as if like the prior 50 minutes hadn't been complete chaos with no semblance of any sort of tag team wrestling whatsoever. So that was very, very funny. I enjoyed that a lot. I mean, the deathmatch stuff is what it is. I enjoy it in small doses. It's not my favorite thing. I don't find it as dramatic and compelling as normal wrestling. Nothing for me has come close to that amazing match. Who was it? Takeda and Kodaka in 2018. That was like the peak of deathmatch wrestling. But I think that was kind of a great match that also happened to be a deathmatch. But also shows how death matches can be really great as well. But yeah, no, these were plenty of fun. I enjoyed them a lot. Enjoy them in small doses. Wouldn't be something I would be clamoring for, but I just thought it was really cool to see. First of all, Despy main eventing both of these,
right.
See how far he's come, and what a great spot for him. Having a second singles match with Jon Moxley, it's almost sort of unthinkable, really. If someone had told you that in like 2018, that El Desperado and
right.
Dean, as he would have then been Dean Ambrose, having these deathmatch main events in Korakuen Hall. Like, you would probably be checked into an insane asylum. Yeah. So I just thought it was really cool to see both these guys going together. And Despy, I don't want to get drawn into conversations about, is he going to move up to heavyweight, blah, 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 because I kind of feel he's sort of transcended that at the moment just because he's so charismatic and he's carved out this weird but incredibly cool niche in the company where he can do stuff like this. And having a guy, a superstar, I think Mox is a superstar in wrestling, show that level of respect and have them sort of looking competitive, looking like equals on that stage. I just thought it was a lot of fun. So how did you enjoy the two death matches?
I like the spectacle of a death match, right? The idea of it and the way they mutilate their bodies is, kind of like gawking out the car window, looking at the accident. I just, every time I wind up watching a quote death match, I think I wind up feeling bad for them. Like, I just think, like, what life decisions put you here with this piece of metal wrapped around your mouth and bleeding all over the place. I mean, I like the idea of two guys that, even though they've done them before, you just wouldn't expect to see. Like Despy being this guy who goes off on these shows and just goes off is pretty awesome, right? I like the idea of guys that wouldn't normally do a death match doing death matches. Look, there's plenty of shit out there on the interwebs with guys and young ladies doing this type of shit. Look, I got mad respect for you if you want to do that, because that does not look like a fun evening. But in the same breath, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Is this? It might not be for me. It probably isn't for me.
Well, let's now talk about the Strong Openweight Championship match, which was Eddie Kingston defeating Kenta 13 minutes, 30 seconds with a Northern Lights bomb. So Eddie Kingston becomes the new Strong Openweight Champion. I don't know if I would call this a good match. It exceeded my expectations, which were quite low, admittedly, but I thought they pulled together what was quite a dramatic and engaging match, particularly the closing stretch, although it was like very sloppy, and I was aware that I was watching two guys who are past their peak, let's say. But I think it was all worth it for the post-match stuff, like genuinely heartwarming scenes with him celebrating with Homicide and Eddie's backstage promo afterwards, where the man's literally breaking down into tears with emotion at winning the Strong Openweight Championship. And there's not many wrestlers on the planet who would have that as a genuine response. A lot of other wrestlers responded that way. It would seem hokey, but with Eddie Kingston, you believe it. And I wasn't his biggest fan. If you'd asked me like a year ago when he started appearing for New Japan, I didn't really get it. But now I've watched enough of him and seen how he always gives 100% and he wears his heart on his sleeve, and all those promos, those emotions, they seem really, really genuine. just the amount of effort he puts in. I don't know. He feels like more New Japan adjacent than he did at the start of the year. So now things like him retiring Jay White on that Strong show and him winning this title and him entering the G1, it seems more palatable. And dare I say it, welcome, because I've grown a lot of affection for the guy just by the sheer amount of heart that he shows.
Yeah. I mean, I think the main thing that people gravitate to him is the fact that he is real, like if he ain't real, he's doing a good job playing a guy who is real. Because I don't think you can kind of fake that. Like, to me, he's more like he's the modern day Dusty Rhodes at this point, in the sense that the in ring, okay, it's there and it's fine, and okay, where nobody's complaining about it, but nobody's going to go waving banners for him. It's everything else. It's the fact that like he emotes like a normal guy who appreciates where he's at. I had somebody kind of hand wave this interview, the post match, and I think he was just trying to be funny with it or whatever. I don't know, but like, he's just like, oh, what a mark, blah blah blah. I don't know. Like, I like that. I like that things mean something to people. And that connection that he has with people who enjoy watching him. It's about being real, and wearing your emotions on your sleeve and being excited for moments like that. Did Eddie Kingston like 3 years ago think he would be there doing that in that building that he's watched thousands of times on, VHS and DVDs? I mean, I got fucking excited just walking in the building, just having my feet touch the floor in the building. I was like, oh my God, unbelievable. How'd I get here? I'm here. I'm sure the same things he was feeling. I liked it. Again, the match, it was all right. It was fine. But it wasn't about the match. It was about him connecting and using every ounce of Terry Funk that he has inside of him and connecting with the people. Connecting with the people. Modern day Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's that realness that is so compelling about Eddie Kingston and makes him stand out. But let's go from people being real to my dogs for real.
Oh.
And that is the War Dogs team, the heavyweight War Dogs. Sorry, I'm so sorry, everyone. Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin, who had 2 matches against Bishamon, Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto. So on the first night, they defeated them to win the Strong Openweight Tag Team Championships in 12 minutes. And then on the second night, they lost to them. Bishamon retained their IWGP Tag Team Championship. So I really enjoyed these pairs of matches. And I've said it before, there's just that sort of dangerous Gaikokujin energy that is in the arena when Gabe and Coughlin come out. Mainly Gabe. I mean, he just carries that intensity and that sort of unpredictable violent streak that I find really compelling to watch. My favourite moment of the 2 matches was that slap exchange that Gabe and Goto had. So that was tremendous.
Yeah.
And I think Coughlin is growing into the role as well. He's looking a lot more natural. The look is great. Just the little additions he's made, like the dog tags and the little armband things that he's wearing that makes his muscles pop a bit more. He's now cracking jokes in the ring when he was in the ring with Yoshihashi and he did the knock joke and smacked him over the head and said, "Just supposed to say who's there, you fucking idiot." That was really good. And the promo that the pair of them cut over after night 1, particularly Gabe, man, like everything he is touching, he is owning right now. And again, like we were saying with the Kingston thing, that promo was so good because it was real,
right.
Like born from real life frustration about all that time he spent at the dojo and all the time he's been left at home, not being brought to Wrestle Kingdom, not invited to the New Japan Cup, not the Sakura Genesis. That's real. and just a perfect way to channel that. And I think the storyline's great with them both saying like, we did everything that you asked us to do and got nothing. Now we listen to Dave Finlay, and now look at us, we're champions. So it's a great story. I just think this iteration of the Bullet Club is fantastic. It's a breath of fresh air. And I'm so excited we're going to preview G1 later, but really, really excited for Gabe Kidd's G1, both the wrestling and the promos, because I think in terms of a toolkit for what you want from a professional wrestler, I think Gabe's got everything, to be honest.
I think the upside right now, not only Bullet Club, but New Japan as a whole, is like I am fucking buying what they are selling, because it does feel fresh. And you know what it really is? And everybody kind of wanted these guys to start getting involved and seeing them more and giving them a reason to be there. It's amazing how talented a pro wrestler is, that you might think, oh, he doesn't have it, or he's not a guy, and then they make it happen, right? And I don't know if it's like the tide raising all boats kind of situation where you have to step up and you have to be, but it is amazing that if they give people an opportunity, and some take longer than others, don't get me wrong, and sometimes they do drag their fucking feet, and I don't know if that's a test of their willingness to gut it out, but there are rewards. There are rewards at the end of the tunnel, and I'm very happy that New Japan recognized that. That was probably the biggest thing I think a lot of people had. Like, who are we building up here? Who's the next level? As the guys from 2018 and 19 kind of get, a little bit downplayed just because of age and the grind on their body and all of that stuff. Time does not stop. But they did a fantastic job, just kind of, and very, it wasn't a long time, but I feel like we're in such a good spot. And it's just, the good news is that it's just starting. It's just starting. Like, where are we going to be in 2 years? Right? Like I'm excited. It's fresh. It's energizing. I feel sorry for people who are still stuck in 2018 and are, and they can't realize. You know what? Not to jump all over the place, Joe. That was probably one of the things that I found kind of funny with the Forbidden Door show, right? The idea of the guys that they brought out being the perceived stars, but like, if you've been watching the promotion, it's really, there's a lot of people there that are kind of filling the roles of the people that are perceived as stars.
It seems like a really missed opportunity not to get guys like any of the Bullet Club guys on Forbidden Door, or Tsuji, or these guys that we've got plugged in for the future, and to not even tease a Bullet Club versus Bullet Club stuff. And I know everyone's exhausted by it, but you could have easily done what they call Black and Gold Bullet Club. Do Jay White, Juice, and the Guns against Finlay, Gabe, Coughlin, and Clark Connors, and then just have them like brawl to a no contest or something, or double DQ or whatever, just sort of set up the possibility of something for next year. The fact that they didn't do that at all just seems like a real whiff to me, and does sort of raise concerns for me about the New Japan AEW partnership, where I think the wrestlers that Tony Khan wants to book, the New Japan wrestlers that Tony Khan wants to book, and that the AEW fans want to see from the New Japan side, are going to become increasingly divergent to the guys that New Japan are pushing.
Right.
And, it's stuck in this sort of 2018 mindset where, every year we've got to have, Okada and Tanahashi and Naito and all the same guys being promoted. And, the guys that New Japan are actually pushing in their domestic products are not getting a look in because they're not. Tony Khan doesn't think that they're going to sell tickets. The AEW fans don't view them as stars. Then yeah, that's going to have a certain shelf life to it. But I mean, we did all the Forbidden Door talk before. I don't want to relitigate that, but yeah, you do raise an interesting point there.
Yeah, I mean, yep. Go ahead.
All right, I'll go on then. So let's talk about the second set of tag titles that changed hands. This is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles that moved from Catch 2-2, Akira and TJP, into the hands of Clark Connors and Driller Maloney. 15 minutes, 36 seconds. I thought this was maybe... Actually, no, it was. I think this was the best match out of the 2 days. Catch 2-2, they're always brilliant. You always know what you're going to get there. And poor Akira, man, he ate shit in this match. Like he did that flip off the outside, and both guys completely missed him, and he took a flat back bump on the outside. That was nasty. And then he overshot a suicide dive, and his head nearly went crashing into the railing. He took an absolute beating in this match, which was slightly worrying. I hope he's okay. And then we had Clark and Driller 24 hours later being sort of thrust into an impromptu defense against Rocky and Yo, and Driller saying, no, we went out drinking yesterday, I'm too hungover, can't do it. That was a lot of fun, and yeah, pretty good match as well. And I just think this is, I'm very impressed at the amount that they've given to Maloney this early on.
Yeah.
Because he started off with the first half of his Best of the Super Juniors. I was a bit more positive on it than most people were, but if you'd have said to me, right, Maloney's going to be in the hottest new stable and holding an IWGP championship a month later, I would have said, no, that's insane. But, they must obviously see a lot in this guy to be giving him this level of push. And I think it's warranted. I mean, this is really exciting. I think it was the right move to change the titles. He looked great. I think the tag team's really good. I think, dare I say it, he's outshining Clark Connors. I mean, he's looking like if you're going to say which one of these is the star of the team, I think Driller Maloney is the guy who's been sort of capturing the spotlight for me. But yeah, very exciting times.
No doubt. I mean, look who's in the mix for the junior titles. I mean, just past year, it's been arguably the best division that New Japan has. Like those teams fighting over those titles, they have been. I mean, has there been a match that's missed? A title defense that was like that was okay. Like, I think that division for those titles is vastly underrated so far this year, and not getting nearly as much love as I think they deserve.
We had a question from William that says, what do you think about the direction of the tag divisions? Here's a hot take. I think New Japan have the best booked tag division in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
I think they're doing it a lot better than the other major promotions, and I would extend that to both the heavyweight and the junior heavyweight tag divisions. I think they're all firing on all cylinders. The quality of the matches is great, exciting angles, very healthy-looking divisions. So, yeah, I think they're doing an outstanding job with the tag division booking this year.
I agree. And the people that they have in the mix, it has had all of them have been really fun. Yeah. I mean, look, I remember years of, Doc Gallows and fucking Carl Anderson and it felt like for a long time the tag division was just an afterthought. But listen, I don't know who woke up and realized they have these titles, and let's do something with them. But yeah, I think the junior division tag wise has been absolutely underrated, and even a lot of the heavyweight tag stuff. It's flying under the radar. But here's the thing.
It's been great. We've Bishamon killing it, FTR, Aussie Open, right. TMDK, and now we've got the War Dogs. This is good shit.
Unbelievable stuff, right? And here's the thing, too. Like, I feel bad, but I don't feel bad in the sense that does let me ask you this, and this is like a gatekeepery question, but fuck it. Do you feel like New Japan is yours again?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
New Japan's back, baby. The battle is over. We have won. I mean, in what sense? Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Like, again, I like the fact that new people find the product, enjoy the product. You know, it's how everybody became a fan. You know, they saw it, it piqued your interest, and away you go. But it's like, I don't know, it's like your favorite band, I guess, right? Who you love and you have this attachment with, but no one else you know, unless they come to town at a small club, you know, those are the people that are the fans. But those are the fans. But let's just say they get one just fucking out of the blue, one song becomes a fucking hit. And everyone knows this fucking song. And everyone, you hear it all everywhere you go. Like, do you lose a little bit of that, I don't know, innocence of it being yours? Or is that just like a completely selfish way of like thinking?
No, I totally agree with you. This is prime music, Damon. I love it, and I think there's a lot that sort of dovetails with what's going on with Arsenal at the moment. I mean, I would say there's a lot of similarities. Like, we've got to this point where the very sort of critically acclaimed roster of players/wrestlers from a previous glory era are now sort of passing. Like, they've gone and they've sort of restocked with a mixture of homegrown talent and smart signings, and it feels like they're no longer relying on the stars from that previous glory era. It feels like they built something new, a new team from scratch. Again, but guys that they've trained and guys that they've, talent they've managed to spot and hoover up from elsewhere to build a second, I would say, equally exciting. I mean, it might not be there in terms of the stars, star ratings, but in terms of excitement and booking and me sort of looking forward to the shows and the buzz that it's generating amongst the fans, I would say it's right up there. So yeah, it's very satisfying to see them sort of get past this sort of 2017, 2018, 2019 glory era and then build something new from scratch with new stars. And, we're not there yet. There's obviously still a long way to go. But I mean, if this is kind of what you meant with your question, the fact that they're sort of building this sort of new season, new series, whatever you want to call it, is, yeah, definitely I feel like I have more of a sense of emotional investment and, yeah, dare I say, ownership in it, because, yeah, we've wanted this. Like, the last 3 years that we've been watching, it's been pretty dry. I mean, we're not going to lie and tell you that, yeah, 2021 New Japan was good shit. It wasn't. No. They were going through that transition period and it was rough. And we hoped that we would come out of that tunnel at the other end and have something to shout about. And we do. Like, this is exceeding all of my wildest hopes and dreams for coming out the back of the pandemic. This is great. It's a really exciting time to be a fan.
Yeah. I think people are missing out. Like, I just feel like people are missing out. And here's the thing too. All it takes is like one thing to spark that again. But I really like it where it is. I really do. And you're right. We have been waiting for like 3 years for this, at least 3 years, and it would be very hard to do with clap crowds and empty arenas and all that, and we just kind of had to muddle through it, and we did, and it looks like we're reaping some really cool benefits right now.
All right, so other stuff from these shows, we had the Strong Women's Championship that changed hands. So Julia defeated Willow Nightingale in 30 minutes 29 seconds. So that was a really good match. I enjoyed it. I thought in the closing stretch they really kicked into an extra gear. That was really fun to watch. And I think Willow Nightingale, obviously an accidental champion, but she played her role really well. I enjoyed her. I think she's a quality wrestler. But I suppose the money match down the line it's hard not to look ahead and think Julia versus Mercedes Moné. Yeah. And I'm just curious what sort of stage that will get. Is that going to be for a show in the US or a show in Japan? I don't know where is going to be the best place to leverage that. Is that a main event? Can you sell an entire show based on that? What's your sort of feelings about Julia as champion and where you think it leads?
Well, again, I think some of this is like I'm not the biggest fan of this title just moving so often, right? It does feel like it's been passed around a little bit, very quickly. Yeah,
But they had to take it off
Right.
Willow. Like, she is not a push commodity in AEW. She's not a jobber, but she's the fact that she was put in a singles match for Forbidden Door, like barely any mention of her holding the Strong title, and
right.
yeah, it was definitely the right move to take it off her.
Yeah, no doubt. But I'm like I know I said last week this could steal the show. Well, it didn't, but the biggest ace up their sleeve, pardon, is Monet, obviously. And I think that the more involved she is, the better the chance that division will produce revenue. So you can have that as a main event, especially in the States. You're not going to run. I'm going to. I don't think you're running a major arena with that on top. I'm curious to see how that would do financially, like in like a United Center or Wells Fargo Center or Madison Square Garden or whatever, like that type of arena. Like, do you think that New Japan could run a show with them on top and have that building be sold?
I leaning towards this maybe being more of a money thing for Japan, because Julia, from what I understand, is a big star in Stardom, but I don't think she has that cachet with the US audience at this point.
Right. All right. So yeah, maybe it's Wrestle Kingdom. Right.
Could be.
I mean that.
Oh no, it's not a quick question. Oh yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the idea of them being like third or fourth from the top. I got no problem with that. No problem with that at all.
Yeah, agreed. I was going to ask you about Momokogo, who was in that tournament that we watched from the Strong show a month or so ago. She was in the tag match on night one. How old do you think she is?
12? I don't know. How old is she?
She's 38.
Wow.
Which is a late starter by the Joshi industry. But she's great. She's one of my new favourites. Really enjoyed seeing her back and seeing her teaming with Willow Nightingale. So, very cool. I like that. All right, other stuff from these shows then. We had Lance Archer and Alex Zane teaming up. They said they're a team now. They're calling themselves, what was it, Monster Sauce? They said they're coming all over world. Whatever that means. So, yeah, that could be something we see maybe either on Strong, maybe these guys are challenging the War Dogs for those Strong Tag Team titles, or it could be even long-term thinking about World Tag League. Archer and Zane would be a really fun team, and it's just always great to see Lance Archer in Japan. And I've kind of hand-waved him in recent months and thought, maybe he's cooked, he's washed, but I don't think he is. I think there's still a lot of value in him, particularly in Japan, and particularly as a tag wrestler. If he goes back to the tag stuff, I think him and Alex Zane could be a very weird but very fun team. Other stuff I've enjoyed. It was good seeing Team Filthy in their ridiculous
US
American Independence Day outfits. It was a big shame about JL Kratos with that massive hematoma. I don't know how he got that, but him pissing blood everywhere the first night and not being able to wrestle the second night. But Team Filthy, I would love to see more of them. West Coast Wrecking Crew, Filthy Tom, let's get them on more shows, please. Again, disappointing that Tom didn't make it to the G1. I don't know if that was his choice or what, but I would like to see West Coast Wrecking Crew in World Tag League this year, because I think they're really good. Great to see Bad Dude Tito. I think he's fantastic as well. DKC, a lot of people are hand-waving him, but I think he's got a lot of upside, particularly in Japan. He's got that sort of Karate Kid style dorkiness that is just sort of endearing with that home crowd that they seem to appreciate him a bit more. So anyone else from that strong roster that you feel sort of stood out, made a good impression here?
I really did, and I agree with you 1,000% about Bad Dude Tito, in the sense that he's a guy that the company, it seems like, puts him in spots that are, I make it again, not main eventing, but spotlight matches. Like, wasn't he the guy against Suzuki in the first match with fans? Yeah,
that's right.
And it's just like those weird little nuggets.
Singles match with Okada as well. Was it Royal Quest 2?
Yeah, I think was it Royal Quest? But it's those kind of things that, like, those little nuggets that he gets that other guys might not get. I think, to me, and I don't know what his situation is, but like, he's a guy that I think you have something there, like, kind of in the similar sense of what you have with Jeff Cobb in United Empire, filling that kind of role. Like, he has that I guess body language, or the way that he carries himself of being that kind of guy. And I think his success, I think he has a better chance of success in Japan than he does in the States. So I'm hoping I see more of him in Tokyo.
There was an interview with him on the Shining Wizards podcast, and he was talking about his ambitions to participate in next year's G1, which that would be great. I'd love to see him in the G1. I think he fully deserves it. But this was picked up by the website Wrestling World, and Wrestling World saw this. I'm assuming they didn't listen to it at all. And they took this information and ran with the headline, Tito Ortiz, as New Japan G1 Climax 2024, discusses the Impact collaboration with a picture of former UFC light heavyweight champion Tito Ortiz. And then, the text saying, we're talking about Bad Dude Tito. So someone's just obviously saw Bad Dude Tito and thought, oh, that must be Tito Ortiz. Didn't realize that they're two completely different people.
Wow. Whew, that's awesome. That is awesome journalism, right? I mean, look, somebody who has an interest in pro wrestling, maybe not that deep, and he just wanted to have a website. He wanted his voice to be out there. Boo. Terrible job. Terrible job.
And we also had some kickoff matches with some guys from Freedoms. I assume that was part of the deal for getting Jun Kasai, but I just appreciate the little thing. Like, I think it was Takahiro Katori and his little pet rabbit. The fact that they had that as a sort of built-in narrative for these two kickoff matches. So they had like a little storyline where everyone kept taking and doing nasty things to his rabbit, and then he got it back at the end. So just little touches like that. They put in a bit of effort to make a little two-night narrative thread there to get you invested in that. So well done, all of those people. So a few questions here just to wrap it up. Multiverse Ace says, who were the highlights for you on Independence Day shows? For the Kasai entrance, I had to take my headphones off because the pop was so loud. Also, will Damon be in attendance for the ROH pay-per-view in Trenton? I'm excited to be able to see a Shibata match in person. Mark says, after these two awesome shows and the Junior Festival, can we add Lek and the Money Mark CEO as Promoter of the Year in the Observer Awards? So, Damon, highlights for you, and are you going to be at the ROH show?
Well, again, the highlights for me, obviously, main events they were good, but they were death matches, and it was a car crash, and it's an interesting thing for me to watch. So from that level, I would say there. I loved the idea of two different titles, but the same teams on consecutive nights. Like I did love that concept. I wish we would see more of that. Yeah, I would say that. Am I going to when is Ring of Honor, may I ask? I don't even know. I'm like 45 minutes away from Trenton.
I don't know either. I'll have to look into that.
I got to look on my interwebs. Let's see here. But
I was going to make a nasty joke and say we could ask the guys from the ROH podcast on the Voices of Wrestling Network, which lasted about 4 episodes back in 2019 before they packed it in and called it a day. Can't think why.
Wow. Oh, poor. That's the hardest part about doing this is continuing to do it. Got to stick that shit out. Main event before. Okay, let me see here. Oh, I can't see anything. Friday, July 21st. I might be booked. Let me see. I don't know. Maybe. I'll give you a solid maybe. How about that?
Damon checks his diary on the Super J.
I know.
All right. Let's move on here. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of the podcast, which is previewing the Grade 1 Climax 33. Let's do this. All right. Damon, I don't want to approach this preview with the intention of aiming to have completely accurate predictions about who's going through each block, who's making the quarterfinals and semis and finals, who's winning, because it's really unpredictable this year. Yep. And I want to celebrate that. Unlike previous years where you could look at the last night fixtures and correctly predict the exact scenarios, I can't do that this year, and I don't want to do it this year. So I'm again approaching it with this mentality that there's any number of people, any number of scenarios that it could be, and I think that's a real strength. That's a real positive going into this.
No doubt. It feels like you could just write their names on a piece of paper, throw it in the air, and whatever results come out of that will be the results. Like you wouldn't have to be like, oh, that would never happen. Like it's like, okay, there's a possibility that could happen. Even the most far-fetched, wacky things. It's you're right. The best part of pro wrestling is not knowing, and having those surprises. Even though, look, here's the thing though. We rarely there's so much stuff that we don't talk about wrestling wise just because of that element of, all right, because we know that's some of the best things in pro wrestling. I mean, we might drop hints every once in a while, but where you got to read between the lines. But I don't know. I love that. I love that idea of being surprised and being on your toes. Like being on your toes watching this is a good feeling. So yes, I'm with you. It feels like a true scenario where anything can happen. Like, and I think it will. I think this is set up to be one of those G1s, at least from a booking perspective, of really being able to produce a good amount of buzz. Will we get those epic G1, night 7 that just blows the fucking doors off the building? I think so. I'm pretty confident we will have that element sprinkled in, but I don't think it's going to be like every single fucking night is this epic main event. I mean, they could be, but I don't know if I'm getting that. I think what I'm getting is on my toes. Lots of wacky stuff's going to happen. And and that's going to maybe make up for the fact that we might not have those 2018 G1s that everyone loves. I think again, do I think we'll have great matches in there? Of course, it's G1, but I think for me, I'm more excited about the surprise element.
Darryl says, I know 32 guys is a big number, but this means 2 fewer block matches for each wrestler and a lot fewer in terms of prelims and multi-man matches. I know we've already talked about the 32-man field, Damon. I was just wondering if your thoughts of it have changed at all as we get closer to the tournament. And again, I'm sticking to what I said before. I think the landscape in New Japan has changed. They've got so many people now in terms of outside talent and young talent coming through. I think just the 20-man field doesn't suit the purpose anymore. Not this year anyway. And I think it was Shota actually who said in an interview, how are you going to elevate new talent if it's always capped at the 20 top guys? So I think it fits this year to have that expanded bracket. And, we said fewer matches for certain people. If you're going deep in the tournament, if you're making it to the final, then you're going to be wrestling the same number of matches. So I just think having the expanded block of 32, I like it this year. I think it's a positive.
Yeah, and I don't think we're at a point where we're just shoehorning people in. You're right. How do you make new stars without having that? Now, they've done it before with 20 and in numbers in the 20s. Do I think it's too many people? Yeah.
I tell you what, Dan, I think there's been a trade-off here. They have expanded it maybe bigger than they would have liked, and I think that is for the sake of having the pacing of the tournament. So you can have those 4 blocks of 8 wrestlers and have the double block nights where you're getting 8 block matches every night. It's A and B one night and then C and D the next night, rather than having the absolute mess that it was last year, where it was completely inconsistent. You had some guys having 3 block matches and some have had no block matches, and it was just an absolute mess to track. So I think it's a necessary evil in order to have that coherence and that pacing and that feel that you are watching an actual sports tournament. And getting in those new guys, that they've had to sort of fill that out with some guys who you might be sort of side-eyeing, thinking, oh, really, that guy? But I think that is, if you'd have capped it off at 28, then you'd have the problem that you had last year. So yeah,
last year was a clusterfuck, wasn't it? I mean, you had guys that would wrestle a match, and they wouldn't have a match for at least like a week and a half. I felt like, yeah, it was odd. Okay, I agree, but you do kind of want the best of the best, and that's just in theory. I mean, in practice, I don't think we really ever had a G1 where it was just all mint. Everybody there was a fucking, just stud. People got to lose. People got to lose, and I think that is a consideration that people need to have, because people have to lose. And I hate to break the bad news to you. Guys don't like losing too often. They really don't. All right.
It's like the FIFA World Cup. That's got 32 teams in it. And yeah, you might have some countries in there that are going to get battered. But by the time you get to the latter stages of the knockouts, no one is thinking about those teams that were there to sort of fill out the numbers. So I don't think it's an issue personally. Other thing here, Kevin says the G1 matches now have 20-minute time limits instead of 30. Do you anticipate more draws or buzzer beater finishes? I don't think this is going to hugely impact things, because most G1 matches are less than 20 minutes, even when they didn't have that 20-minute time limit. But I do think we will see at least one time limit draw, possibly early on in the tournament, just to establish that as a thing, as a threat. So to sort of set out, yes, this is what could happen. And then, yeah, I dare say we'll probably have quite a few buzzer beater finishes. I mean, just look at the way that the TV title with that 15-minute time limit has been booked. I think they can't help themselves sometimes. Right. And, maybe that might be sort of an adjustment for the wrestlers themselves that are used to having, I'm just looking at matches like Naito versus Zack. They're used to going like 27, 28 minutes. So maybe a little bit of an adjustment for them to do 20 instead. But I don't see it being a huge change for things, no.
No, but I think what you will... I think it's helpful in a lot of ways. I mean, it helps cut down on match fatigue from the fans' point of view, right? It helps, 10 minutes is like a lot can happen in 10 minutes. So shaving that off, I would think by having less time in ring, maybe that helps, keep guys healthy, or at least healthier. Matches are going to be, they're going to, just because they shaved off 10 minutes doesn't mean they're going to shave off any of the shit they want to do. They're going to sandwich that in. They got to get their shit in. Come on. I kind of like it, actually. I do kind of like it. I do think we'll see both. We'll see the buzzer beater, and we'll also see the so close but time ran out kind of thing.
Louis says, with the big one having so many participants and extra blocks, what would you recommend people watch, consume all the shows and matches, or stick with their favorite wrestlers? So, of course, the sickos like us, we're going to watch everything. But what would your advice be to the casual viewer who does not have the time or the inclination to watch everything?
We always say it every year, right? G1 is a grind. No matter how much you love pro wrestling, no matter how much, because you miss a day, you got a show, right around the corner. So there's not a lot of time to catch up, especially when you're in the middle of the tourney. You know what? I would say do what you want, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with skipping a day. If there's a matchup where you're like, okay, I'm okay missing this. Great, take it. Pace it at your own pace. Hey, if you want to watch every fucking second of it, you can, and it's something that a lot of people do, and I'm on them. I'm there for it. But I would say do your own pace, because if it becomes a grind for you, you're going to enjoy it less, right? And if you missed something that was a great match and it's getting a lot of buzz and you just weren't there for it, go watch. You'll carve out some time to watch that match, right? So, yeah, I don't think there's you're not going to get your New Japan Pro Wrestling fan club card taken away if it's come to find out you didn't watch every single fucking G1 show.
Yeah, you wait, you see what people are buzzing about the next day, and you can go back and catch stuff you didn't see. Personally, I quite like having the all block matches cards, and the way they're structured, quite a lot of them, you have a sexy match as the opener.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's escalating in terms of money matches or whatever. So I think that the way that they've laid out the cards are quite interesting, and I think are going to make for good viewing either way. But just before we get into the blocks and talking about the wrestlers, I was just having a conversation with a friend of the show, Jay Michael, who does incredible work, deep dives into the data and the booking patterns. And the big takeaway is that we're sort of going in blind here, because and I'm paraphrasing what Jay Michael said here. I'm sure he's going to have a more comprehensive piece that is better expressed than I can. But having looked at the final night scenarios, in the years where you have only one wrestler advancing from each block, they almost always do winner-take-all block final match, where you can look at that and you can say, okay, that's definitely going to be the winner-take-all match. 90% of the time under the Gedo booking reign, anyone who's got tiebreakers outside of the main event loses those matches and clears the way. So you just have a straight winner-take-all block deciding match. But now that we've got two wrestlers advancing in each block, you tend to find that the block final match is for second place. And I don't have data here for this from Jay Michael, but he says that happens most years. So someone wins the block from lower down in the card, and then the block final is winner-take-all just to advance rather than winning the block. But that was 15 to 20 years ago. That was before Gedo was booking, and the G1 booking pre-Gedo was, Jay Michael says it was atrocious and completely arbitrary, missed opportunities everywhere. But this sort of era of climactic G1 booking is a Gedo thing, or the booking committee, whoever you want to call it, Kikuchi, I don't know, whatever we're calling it. So the big question this year, it's a big unknown. How is the booking committee going to book a G1 where two people advance, because this is their first time doing it? So is it going to be the winner-take-all block final match, as has been the case historically, or is that just a byproduct of the one guy goes through each block system? So, looking at final block matches like ELP versus Ospreay, or Eddie Kingston versus David Finlay, or Tanahashi against Naito, makes it really harder to predict, because a one wrestler goes through, you could look at that and say, okay, right, winner's going through there. Now that you've got two wrestlers going through, what are we looking at there? Is that going to be a match that's deciding first place or second, or something else? So yeah, really interesting work there from Jay Michael, and a lot of uncertainty now that we have two guys going through rather than one guy one guy going through, which again, I take that as a positive.
Yeah, to me, it just adds an extra element of intrigue, and an extra level of geekiness for people, right? I'm sure Chris Samsa has a boner right now. It's that time of year, and so you can make this as nerdy as you want. Not to just go back on a theme or from earlier, you can make it as nerdy as you want. And a lot of sports leagues are kind of gravitating toward that type of business model, in the sense of, okay, the NBA has like a play-in round where it's like a mini playoff to go to the playoffs, and everybody was like, "Oh man, you're diluting it." Guess what? It was some of the most exciting basketball, in many cases more exciting than the actual playoffs, like these teams getting in. It's kind of like how in Premier League, right? You have your relegation and teams going up and teams going down. Like, that's an added intrigue that I wish was in every single sport. I find that fascinating. And the heartbreak when you are relegated, and the absolute joy and euphoria when you make it to the next level. Like, that's awesome to me. And again, that's intrigue. That's not even the championship, So the idea of a wild card wrestler, getting in, a second place getting in, I think it just adds an extra layer to an already exciting time that it always is. So, yeah, again, I know everybody's very hesitant with change. People don't like change, no matter what they say. They don't. But I got to be honest, I'm here for it. I like this. I like this a lot.
Right, let's get into A block then, which, I mean, for my money, is the most exciting block, because we've got the champion in there, Tornado. We've got the three Reiwa Musketeers. We've got a very angry gay kid. We've got Hikuleo in there. We've got Chase Owens in there. We've got the outsider, Kaito Kiyomiya. So just looking at matches we've got coming up this Saturday, July 15th in Hokkaido. So we will get Chase Owens against K Kid. So let's talk about Chase and Gay. So Chase, he's like your solid hand, veteran, massive company, man. The company trust him. From recent VOW reports, he is basically, I wouldn't say taking care of you at Uemura at this point, but sort of overseeing, keeping an eye on him, making sure he's not getting himself into trouble, as it were, on his excursion at the moment. So obviously a guy that the company have a tremendous amount of faith in, and he's there to be like the solid veteran hand in this block. So I don't expect him to be accumulating a huge amount of points. So I would think, I'm looking at sort of maybe 4 points for Chase Owens. He's probably going to pin someone that you love in that block, and it's really going to annoy you. Yeah. That tends to happen with Chase Owens. But I'm looking at this match with Gabe Kidd and wondering if there's some sort of angle there, because obviously they're both nominally Bullet Club, but we're wondering, where does Chase Owens fit in with David Finlay's vision of Bullet Club? And I believe Chase and Finlay are paired up on tag matches later in the tour, but there's precedence for that being changed. That's not set in stone. That could easily change. So, just wondering if there might be some sort of thing with Chase Owens, trying to pull rank on Gabe Kidd and saying, I'm the veteran, I've been in Bullet Club longer than you, lie down for me. And then Gabe not having it and beating him up and maybe booting him out of Bullet Club. Who knows? But that's a really interesting one to kick off the block with. Gabe Kidd, I've told you, I really think this guy's a blue chip prospect. He could be a future Bullet Club leader himself. I don't think this is going to be the tournament to do it, because I think he's tied up in the tag division for now. So again, I'm not expecting a huge points haul from him, but I do think he is a dark horse in terms of performances. I'm expecting him to have a lot of really great performances. I'm excited to see him against the Musketeers and against Kiyomiya, because he's had a lot of choice words for them. So they're going to be hard-hitting matches. I can't wait for the promos from him. So whilst I don't think there's any chance of him making out of the block, I think he is just really, really exciting for me in this block with all the people he's been paired up against. So, let's take it in pairs. Your thoughts, please, on Chase and Gabe.
Yeah. So I just kind of do find it a little funny that he's the guy they picked to have him stay out of trouble. You know what I mean? So that block to me is maybe one of the more exciting, and the possibilities are endless with what they can do in that block. I don't see Chase, going above 500, but yeah, he's going to be the guy who fucks up the party for someone. Will there be that Bullet Club thing between the two? I could see it going down like that, right? I could definitely see it going down like that. I think it's important though that in every G1, when it starts out, you always have the story of the guy who starts out really cold and then collects wins as you go. If anyone is that person, that's Chase Owens, right? Like I can see him putting over people and then fucking up the rest of the tournament by getting big wins.
And how about Gabe Kidd? How do you think he gets them?
I like him a lot. I'm really happy for him. I mean, from a guy who cut that promo in ring in Philadelphia to where he is now, that's really good. It's really awesome. And again, that doesn't mean that his struggles are over, but man, when you start getting some success and you start seeing the fruits of your labor pay off, that's got to be helpful at least. Or you know what? At least I hope it is for him. Could he get out of that block? You know what? He could. Maybe not the winner of the block, but I would not be surprised if he's like the wild card guy, the second place guy. I would not be surprised. I mean, just like, let's put it this way. Who comes out of that block? Like, give me the odds-on favorite. Sonata?
I don't want to tip my hand.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep my powder dry and tell you that later.
All right. I think he's a definite candidate. I don't think he wins the block, but I think he's absolutely in the mix.
Also, a very interesting pair up on night one. We have Shota Umino against Ren Narita. So already pairing off two of the Reiwa Musketeers there. And some questions here. John says, what beverage will Shota Umino spill on himself like a small child during the G1? And Cola Blue says, New Japan posted 2 articles recently about Shota's G1 prep. So there was an interview and the STF article with Chono. A sign that Shota will go deep in the G1, or a red herring? I'm remembering how New Japan signposted Evil's IWGP title win with website articles beforehand. So that's a really good point from Cola Blue, something that I'd not really considered. So just talking to Jay Michael before we went on the air, I sort of managed to convince myself of a scenario where Shota not only makes it out of this block, but then faces Naito in the quarterfinal, gets his win back over Naito, faces Ospreay in the semifinals, gets his win back over Ospreay, and then faces Okada in the finals of the Great One Climax. And then I suddenly thought, oh, no, he's not ready for that at all. But I mean, I think he's a dark horse here. I really do. It would not surprise me to see him get out of this block. I think it's sort of a coin flip between him and Tsuji at this point. And the amount of promotion and publicity they're putting behind him, that there's no smoke without fire. So definitely one to keep an eye on. And he is doing a lot of interviews and stuff at the moment, and seems to be sort of sliding into this nepo baby role where he's towing the company line and just being a bit of a little shit about it, like a teacher's pet basically. Right. So I don't think we're going to get the full blown heel turn where he turns into a badass. I don't think he's got it in him. But him sort of leaning towards the, like I said, the teacher's pet thing where he's going to irritate everyone and just be a little prick about it, I think that could work. And seems to be working so far. So I like this sort of new direction for him in the interviews, at least. And yeah, I think if you put the gun to my head now, I would probably pick him to get through this block. Ren Narita, I need to see more from him. I think this is a really good sort of sink or swim opportunity for Ren here, because he's sort of lost direction since he's been put in this strong style faction, which seems like a misstep right now, because I don't think it's been particularly helpful for him. He just feels directionless at the moment. But this is a great way for him to get back on track. And based on comments that he's made about sort of New Japan versus Noah stuff, it seems that he's got a real bee in his bonnet about Kiyomiya. So I could see him maybe spoiling Kiyomiya and then having some sort of feud afterwards. So yeah, we need to see something good from Ren in this tournament, even if it isn't necessarily making it out the block. I'm just thinking in terms of the actual match quality and the fire that he's showing. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Shota and Ren. How do you see those two get?
I think Shota's got to be heavily considered, right, to be in the mix. Just like nobody really knows the right time, right? Like, when's the right time to give? You just got to do it, and I guess it comes with experience, and it comes with kind of getting a feel of when to pull the trigger. But is this the year where he does what you described, and he just goes on this fucking massive run? I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it would or it is, but would you be shocked at that run? You know, he just catches fire and he's fucking beating people. Like that's not as crazy far-fetched as, you know, it might seem. Yeah, you know what? This is why this block is really fucking awesome. Because I just sat here and I was like, yeah, Gabe Kidd, I could see him being that. You know, well, you got Ren, who's sitting, you know, waiting for his moment. Who I think you're right. I would love to see. I love the fact that right now he has an opportunity in front of him to just turn heads. You know, he has an opportunity to be a guy that people are, whoa, did you see that? Did you see him? What a fucking badass. Baba, whatever, right? He has that opportunity in singles matches against a wide variety of guys that can go. Young, you know, they want to make an impression. They want to make a mark. Like, to me, in that block, who has the most upside potential? I think it's Ren. Because you're right, it does feel like he's kind of lost in this faction, and I think the faction itself is kind of poorly constructed. And, you know, it's like it doesn't even really feel like a thing anymore. Yeah, this might be a coming out party. So circle his name. Let's put it that way.
We also have Yota Tsuji against Kaito Kiyomiya on our first night. So, yeah, like I said before, I think Tsuji or Umino going through is a coin flip. I could easily see both. I could see Tsuji going deep in the tournament because he really caught fire in that Dominion main event and captured everyone's imagination. And just he looks like he's got it. He's got it. He's got everything. You know, he's got that crowd connection. He's got the swagger, the charisma, really exciting moveset. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got in store in terms of the actual in-ring stuff. He's got a big mouth on him. I like the sort of arrogance in his promos where he's saying that, you know, he's better than the other Musketeers and how dare they put him on his level. He's got Gabe Kidd on the final night. So, again, I'm wondering if it could be Gabe playing spoiler there. And obviously they clashed in the UK, so they've got that sort of link together. But, yeah, Tsuji, I could see definitely being a factor going into the final night. And it would not surprise me in the slightest to see him getting out of this block. Kiyomiya, I don't think he will make it out of the block. I think doing that at the expense of all these, you know, anointed Musketeer guys would be
a misstep. Yeah,
quite strange. Yeah, unless they're signing him, which I don't think they are. You know, if you had to ask me now, I think this is just cross promotional stuff. If he does start picking up, going deep in the tournament and, pinning Sanada and stuff like that, then I might think, okay, hold on a second, there's something up here. But just taking it at face value, if this is just a Noah guest star, I could see him having a good tournament and picking up some signature wins and being a contender going into the final night. But I see him getting spoiled by Ren on the final night. So I don't think he makes it out the block. So, what do you think about Tsuji and Kiyomiya?
Tsuji, I feel like I'm just repeating, but it wouldn't shock me at all to see him move on. Because you're right, he does have that element that I think even the other guys are missing. Like Tsuji, he's got it right out of the gate. And I think these like G1 makes or breaks people, man. It really does. Like it's just one of those things where you're given an opportunity to shine. And it's not like every match is going to be, the greatest thing you've ever seen, but people give guys an opportunity. Damn, this company, I would say 9 times out of 10 they take full advantage of it. Unless they're signing, and like you said, I don't see that happening. There's really no upside to having an outsider defeat your young and rising stars, right? So I'm sure there'll be. It's not like he's going to, it's not like he's losing every match, but I wonder what those discussions are like. We're bringing you in, but you're gonna lie down a little bit. Yeah, but I don't see him getting out. I just don't.
Scott says, which Reiwa Musketeer is most likely to level up in this year's G1 Climax? I do think that's going to be Shota, actually. I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. I don't think he's going to suddenly become cool, but I think in terms of his in-ring work, I think he's going to definitely silence a few doubters there. And Aaron says, riding off last week, honest question, what is the Reiwa in the Reiwa 3? And do you two believe the Three Musketeers are big enough next year to make Forbidden Door? The Forbidden Door thing is another question entirely. I think I don't know. You'd have to ask Tony Khan that. But the Reiwa, that's like the current era of the Japanese official calendar. Yeah. So I think it changes when the emperor changes. So when the new emperor ascended the throne, then it was Reiwa. I think it means like auspicious or something like that. I can't remember what the exact translation of the characters Rei and Wa are, but it's something like that. Like every time there's a new emperor, they declare it a new era. So I think the key thing, like as you said, this is sink or swim time in this block. Not everyone is going to deliver. I could make predictions like, oh, well, this guy is going to make himself a star and this guy is going to flop. Like, we don't know. Right. They're not all going to be great. But again, I just like the idea of just throwing them all in there and being like, right, let's see, who makes it out of this one alive.
Yeah, sink or swim. Sink or swim. The guy I'm looking at the most is Ren Narita. Because here's the thing, I feel like he has that element in him. I just want this to be the stage where he shows it. And again, given the opportunities that all of those guys have, how excited do you think they are? They got to be just fucking thrilled with like the opportunity that is there. They got to be fucking tickled pink, man. Here's the thing. I don't think you can ask anything more from a company. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you're going to be in a block with guys that you have trained with for years and know very well, and we're going to give you 20 minutes, every other night, and let's see what you got. This is what they dreamed of. This is what they worked very hard for. And again, who cares about wins and losses? In my mind, it's okay. show me what you got. Show me what you got. That's what it is.
And the last two guys in A block we have are the IWGP champ, Sanada and Hikuleo, who are facing each other on Saturday. So, the fourth Reiwa Musketeer says, who is beating Sanada to set up future title shots on the way to Wrestle Kingdom? I don't think it's going to be Hikuleo. No. I could actually, know what I said it. I could see Kiyomiya pinning Sanada and setting up an autumn title defense, very much like how we had Okada defending against Marufuji towards the back end of 2016. So I think they could sort of play off that, and maybe that wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, Kiyomiya's going to New Japan. I think they could sort of run that as a sort of money-making sort of cross-promotional big match for the Destruction show at Sumo Hall. So they could certainly do that. But I think Sanada makes it through this block. I think he probably wins the block. I think he should win the block because he's the champion, and a big show of faith to put him in there with all these youngsters, and he's now the guy who is more experienced and is leading these less experienced wrestlers through the matches. So that's a big show of faith for him. But yeah, I think he does really well in this block. I think he probably wins the block. And Hikuleo, I could see him being a contender. He is, I think, sort of easing into that Fale spot as the monster. That's how the matches are likely to be structured. He has got Shota on the final night, so I could see that being like winner goes through, or winner finishes second rather. So I could see it being like, Shota is positioned as the babyface in peril. How is he going to beat the massive dude? And then Shota manages to use his skills and his cunning to get the win over Hikuleo. So I think Hikuleo is going to be in the mix, but I don't think he's going to get out of the block. No.
Yeah. I mean, he has a role of being a strong roadblock for people. Like he's like the maybe not the final boss, but he is a big boss in if we're going video game analogy.
Unless we forget he's the one who knocked Jay White out of Japan and banished him from Japan, so not for nothing.
Right. So he's going to be that guy to crush dreams. Let's put it that way. And I do see what kind of you laying out there. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, again, I think Sanada wins the block, as he should. But you're right. I think if, in fact, like there's a reason we're putting the Noah guy in that block, right? Like that. There's a reason for that. That wasn't just by, look, we blindly drew. No, there's a reason. And I think you're spot on. If you can find any bookmaker that would have action on that, I think you might want to put some money there to build for a title defense. Yes, I think that makes plenty of sense. And again, you're going to need title defenses before Wrestle Kingdom. So that's where we're going with that.
Right, let's move on to B block. I suspect we're going to have less to say about the remaining three blocks. This is going to kick off on Saturday with Yoshihashi against El Phantasmo. I mean, Yoshihashi, you know what you're going to get with him at this point. I think a very high standard of wrestling. He's going to show a lot of heart, a lot of passion, have a lot of matches that people are going to go, wow, this one was surprisingly good. Although we won't be surprised because we know that Yoshihashi is good now. So I think he's going to perform very well in terms of in-ring quality, in terms of points. I mean, he's going to be hovering around, 6 points? I don't think he's going to be in the mix at all when it comes to the final night, which he will be facing, who's he got? Kenta. So, I think that's going to be a nothing match by the end of the tournament. And El Phantasmo, he's a tricky one. A lot of people on our Discord saying he's on fraud watch. We've been bigging him up and saying he's going to be the next star or whatever, and people are expecting him to fail here. But I thought he had a really good G1 last year, and I'm just looking, the final night for him, he's got a singles match against Will Ospreay, and they've got a lot of history together. And this is the year of pushing you guys and making you stars. So that one has got winner goes through written all over it. I don't know if I'm ready to say at this point, yes, El Fantasma is going to eliminate Ospreay from the G1, just because I don't think he will, but he will be in the mix. I think he will be still alive by that point. And would it stun me? Would my head explode if he managed to beat Ospreay and go through to the quarterfinals? No, it would not, because he is in that sort of upward ascendancy, and there's a lot of interesting stuff around him story-wise. I think the direction eventually is having a rematch with Finlay, and this story he's got to sort of recruit some buddies to help him take on Bullet Club. But yeah, I think he is going to have a very good tournament in in-ring quality, and just again circle that one on the last night, ELP versus Ospreay, because maybe not as cut and dry as some people might think. So thoughts on Yoshihashi and ELP, please.
Yoshihashi will not play a factor in the finals. He'll be there and he'll have good matches. El Phantasmo is interesting to me because if you circle that Will Ospreay match, it's going to be a fucking great match. Now, are you going to get that ELP in every single G1 match? Probably not. You might get some dickhousery and shenanigans, and he might be a little bit more that than epic match ELP. So we'll see. But I think that match definitely will be in the running for match of the tournament. I mean, just on paper, I think that's when he's going to shine. I'm kind of shocked at your comment of people being what would you call it, fraud watch? I mean,
yeah. So fraud watch. This is the buzzword on our Discord for people who've been like gassed up by the fandom and everyone's raving about them, but who they think might shit the bed in this tournament.
Okay, all right. Well, I do not have him in that bucket yet. So I think we'll see good things. Hang in there, fraud watchers. Hang in there.
Okay, we're also got on this opening night Tangaloa against Kenta. I mean, Tangaloa, great to see him back from injury. He had a decent first G1, although a little bit disappointing. So I'm not holding my breath for brilliance here. I'm interested to see. I think like his matches against Taichi and Ospreay and Okada, if he can't show us greatness, or very goodness in those matches, then maybe it's time to reassess what we're doing with Tangaloa as a singles wrestler. But I don't see him being a factor going into the final night. I think he's got Okada on the final night, and I think that's probably just a straightforward win for Okada to seal his top spot in the block, to be honest. Kenta, he's cooked. He probably shouldn't be in the G1. Noticeably slowed down, relying on a lot of shenanigans for his matches. Although that one thing I forgot to mention, I did enjoy the shenanigan of him trying to attack Eddie Kingston with a strong title, and Eddie Kingston threw it away, and then he got the Defy title, which everyone forgot about, and clocked him in the face with that. That was very funny. So I think Kenta, he's the night off match. He's the shenanigans match. I'm sort of expecting more from him in terms of comedy and amusing backstage promos than I am actual wrestling. I don't think he's going to be a factor on the final night either. So, Tangaloa and Kenta, please, Damon.
I mean, if there are two guys that I wish weren't in the tournament, I think those two guys, to be honest with you. Like, I know everyone loves to give, the former Gorillas of Destiny chances and opportunities. And look, I'm sorry. It's not working. It hasn't worked yet. What gives people that hope that it will happen? Kenta, let's be honest. I mean, he's working a style of self-preservation at this point. And the idea that he can flick a switch and turn back the hands of time, it's just not it. So yeah, right. To me, like if you were to ask, eliminate 2 guys and whittle this down to 30, I'd probably start there.
Also on the first night, we've got Okada against Great-O-Khan. I think Okada is winning this block and going deep in the tournament and probably a finalist, just because he's awesome and I just enjoy seeing him now being very angry with all the Zoomers. So, yeah, not a huge amount to say here. I think he's probably making it all the way to the final. Great-O-Khan, this is another hot potato, isn't it, Damon?
Yeah.
Every year we like, this is the year Great-O-Khan gets his push. It never happens, but it's one of those things. It doesn't happen until it happens. Could it be the year that it happens? I'm going to give you a solid maybe, and the reason I say that is looking at the final night where he will be facing none other than Will Ospreay. Oh no, wait, no, he's not going to be facing Ospreay at all. What am I talking about? Ospreay's got ELP. He's got Taichi on the final night. So, no, what I was going to say with regards to Great-O-Khan and Ospreay, they're in the same block, right? They were not separated. Most of the stablemates have been separated, but Ospreay and O-Khan have not. So that is one to circle. Great-O-Khan versus Ospreay. Why are they having this United Empire versus United Empire match? Was it an oversight? I don't think it was. I think this is, I mentioned before, I think this is an insurance policy in case Ospreay quits the company at some point and goes to AEW early next year, whenever his contract is up, and Great-O-Khan can have that win over Ospreay and lead either they have a singles match or something, or that is just basically fuel to let Great-O-Khan take over leadership of United Empire. So I just think that there is a reason they put O-Khan and Ospreay in the same block. So yeah, Ospreay versus Taichi in the final night. Do I think Great-O-Khan is going through? No. Just by virtue of the fact that there's Okada and Ospreay and ELP as a dark horse? I don't think so. I would be really surprised if he makes it out. So I think Great-O-Khan appreciators are going to have to wait at least one more year for the big push to come.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice for it to happen. Yeah, they're taking their sweet time, aren't they? It does feel like it. Yeah, and again, that block is a tough block. Now, if by some pro wrestling miracle that he does make it through, I would be not only shocked but happily surprised. Like that would be really fucking awesome because there are a lot of studs in that block. And those names, I think it's going to be very hard to keep out of important matches leading to finals and winning the whole thing. So I would say the odds are against that happening.
And also in B block, the last pair we've got is Taichi versus Ospreay, which is a cracking match. I'm surprised that's not main eventing, to be honest. But yeah, Taichi, love him. He's going to be great in this block. He's going to have terrific matches that we're all going to enjoy, and he's probably going to get 6 points and not be a factor at all on the final night. Like as I said, he's facing Great-O-Khan. And Will Ospreay, yeah, I think he probably makes it out of the block. I could see him making it to semi-finals. I'll give you that. I don't know. I mean, he's just picked up the US title again. I wonder if there is another match with Kenny Omega in his future. Mm-hmm. But I think the chalk pick here is Ospreay to make it out, beat El Phantasmo on that final night and get through in second place.
Yeah, I mean that's I'm going with the safe. I'm going with the safe pick there, but you also have to remember that we're planning for a main event at Wrestle Kingdom. So in your mind, you got to think, okay, who's able to fill those shoes? And Ospreay is definitely one of those people that could fill those shoes with the right opponent. So,
or he could be he could still have the US title by then. He could be your sort of semi-main event US title work rate attraction match.
Yeah, no doubt. And why wouldn't you? Right? Why wouldn't you? I definitely see Will and he's never won it. He might be my pick to win the thing. So, yeah, I think he definitely gets out of the block.
All right, on to C block then. So the C block will kick off on Sunday, and that will be in Hokkaido, so July 16th. First match here, we got Tomohiro Ishii versus David Finlay. So Finlay, if I'm not mistaken, already has a win over Ishii. I think they faced each other in the New Japan Cup, if I'm not mistaken. So I think this is actually going to be a spot for Ishii to win and put Finlay under pressure starting off in the tournament. But I think, as we go deep in the tournament, Ishii, he's going to give you your work rate matches because this is the tough guy block. So, you know what you get when you have Ishii versus guys like Hinare, Ishii versus Shingo, Ishii versus Eddie Kingston. They're going to be a lot of fun. We're all going to enjoy Ishii having the Ishii match, but I don't think he's going to be another 6 pointer. He's not going to be in contention on the last night. And on his last night, he will be facing off against, this is at Yokohama Budokan, Ishii against Mikey Nichols. So, yeah, that's going to be a nothing match. David Finlay, I think he loses this opening match, but I could see him going on to get through the block, probably as runner-up, because I think as your Bullet Club leader, you want to keep him strong. And I hope he has exciting, hard-hitting matches against those people that I've just mentioned. Final night, he has Eddie Kingston. So, yeah.
Which is not going to be an
easy.
Which is not going to be an easy night at all. Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Kingston, match 7, Eddie Kingston, who knows what shape he'll be in at that point. But we will get on to Eddie. But yeah, I think Finlay wins that one, and I could see him getting through the block in second place. So, yeah, that is Ishii and Finlay for me. Where do you see them?
Yeah, I think Ishii's the guy who will win some, lose some, right? He'll probably be in and around 500. With his win total, half and half. Finlay, yep. I think he's getting out of the block. And I think you almost have to, right? You just like you said, you do want to keep him strong. You want to have him in prominent places, important places, because again, he is the new leader of your Bullet Club. So. Keeping him in the mix. Correct me if I'm wrong. Also, we were kind of clued in on to keep an eye out on one Aaron Hinare.
Yes, he was the next person I wanted to discuss. So again, that second night we've got Mikey Nichols against Hinare. Mikey, I think, is just there to make up the numbers. I'm not expecting much from him at all. I don't think anyone is. So if he has a couple of standout matches, I would say he's doing well. Yep. But probably looking at like 4 points for him, he is not going to be a factor. Final night, he has Ishii, as I said. So don't expect a huge amount from Mikey Nichols. But yeah, Hinare, I don't think is going to be a contender. I mean, he might be. Would it shock me if he's still with a shot? You know what? I think he is. I think by the final night, I think he's still got a chance. We have been told that he has something special planned for his entrance in Hokkaido this Sunday. So do keep an eye out for that one. I'm excited to see. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
He's going to come. He's going to come. He saved it for this moment. Ladies and gentlemen.
He's definitely in the right block to have the sort of matches he likes to have. He likes to hit people hard and he likes people to hit him hard. And I thought the block he was in last year wasn't set up for his strengths. But I think all the Hinare haters are going to be in the mud after this tournament because when he gets to face guys like Eddie Kingston and Finlay and Shingo and he finally gets that match with Ishii, I think we're really going to see Hinare at his best here. And I think going into the final night, now this is a spicy one. He's got Tama Tonga on the last night. Now, I don't know if you remember the match they had at the New Japan Cup, Damon, where, it looked to me like there were a few potatoes thrown in there. It looked like there were some receipts and there were some quite nasty comments from Tama Tonga about Hinare's hair, which I thought, is that, these guys working? And it did make me wonder if there's a bit of bad blood there. But that as the final night for both of these guys is an interesting one. So I'm going to give you a scenario where Hinare is still in contention on that final night, but I don't think he makes it through. But I think the key thing here is him going to be having kick-ass matches and hitting people really hard and people going, yay, Hinare.
Yeah. I mean, look, this block is tailor-made for him, right? And just like you said, this is a guy who encourages people to hit him hard just so he can get in the mat. Like, he can kind of, feel the match. So yeah, this is the block for him. I tell you what, there is a lot of that though. Like, there is a lot. I feel like they didn't just throw this together. There's a method to the madness going on here, which is nice and refreshing. I think he's in the mix. I think to I wouldn't say the very end, but like, he'll be in the mix. There will be mathematical chances of him winning the bracket. Will he? No, probably not. But yeah, I think they're going to keep him hot.
We also have Shingo Takagi against Eddie Kingston. I mean, that's a hell of a way to kick off a Grade 1 climax for Eddie.
Oh, my Lord.
Shingo, I mean, you know what you're going to get with Shingo at this point. He's going to have the tremendous matches, high work rate matches where he runs the rope and hits very strong lariats, and lots of people will enjoy those. I see him on the final night, he has Evil, and I can't help but feel Evil is going to play spoiler to him there. I can see, I'll come on to Evil later, but I just have a weird feeling Shingo is not going to make it out of this block. Eddie Kingston is not going to make it out of the block. I think, he's got Finlay on the final night, and I think Finlay beats him to go through. But for me, again, my concern is for Eddie Kingston to hold up physically through this tournament, because it is a meat grinder. And from what I saw against Kenta, I was like, it's not going to be easy for Eddie. And I really want him to do well because I like him. But it's going to be tough. And it would not shock me if there are a few matches where we are watching through our fingers like, oh my God, things are like completely falling apart.
The only thing I worry about is the stamina aspect. Like, it from anyone I've talked to that has been in a G1, I remember talking to AJ Styles about it, and he was telling me about the cardio that he goes through or went through before the tournament. Like, I was just like, my God. I mean, this is just for that tour. He's like, it's so brutal. And yeah, and here's another thing too. I know I always talk about it, but I don't think they know what they're in for when it comes to that Japanese summertime humidity. Like, that's a factor. Like, these buildings aren't super air conditioned. You see people waving fans. Now you got to go out there and have a match. And let's be brutally honest here. It's not like Eddie Kingston is this fucking, picturesque physical specimen, right? He doesn't look like it. I mean, maybe it's not going to be hard. I think it's going to be hard. So I want him to come out the other side of this in good shape, number one. And when I say good shape, no injuries. And B, like night 7, night 6, yeah, things might fall apart. I hope not, but yeah. But here's the plus side of that. There is an element of watching him go through this, isn't it? Like, aren't you curious as to
I'll tell you what I'm imagining. Sometimes you get like when people are doing a marathon and they're really struggling at the end and they're like crawling on their hands and knees, and there's a bunch of well-wishers standing there going, go on, you can do it. And they just sort of slump over the finish line and everyone's like, yay! Right. That's what I'm imagining. Like us all cheering at the end for Eddie just to make it through the G1 in one piece.
That's it. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping he has a fun time. He's there with his, his friends, just have a great explore the country, the food. Oh, what a good time he's going to have. But oh my God, what a meat grinder! I hope he's okay. But that's what it'll be. It'll be us cheering. Like by 6 and 7, I'm just going to be like, "Come on, buddy, make it quick. Just get in and get out. You got nothing left to prove. Just get out."
Right. Shingo, how do you think he makes it out the block?
I think there's a chance, but I think he'll be very similar to that of like Hinare, mathematically in it to the end, being in the mix but not getting out of the block.
Right, and the last pair for C block on the first night they meet. So this would be Tama Tonga versus Evil. Now, Tama Tonga, a lot of people seem down on him at the moment. I know there were rumours linking him to WWE, and I'm not necessarily saying that might be a good thing for him. Change of scenery. It feels like he did kind of hit his peak, or has hit his peak in New Japan. However, something that again J. Michael pointed out to me that I think we have to pay attention to is the fact that in terms of booking and card placement. So I can't remember if it was him or Chris, but they ranked everyone in terms of how high up the card they are. Like, people with the most main events and semi-main events, blah, blah, blah. So if you rank every single person in the G1 in terms of their card placement, Tama Tonga is third.
Wow.
Right? He has got the most semi-main events in the tournament.
Wow.
Which historically has had a direct correlation to G1 success. So based on that, I think Tama Tonga wins the block. I really do. He has got, I think he's got Hinari on the final night. I can see them both being in the mix there, but I think Tama Tonga beats him. And Tama Tonga, he was a semi-finalist last year. Knocked Jay White out of the tournament. He had that big match against Okada. He had a rematch against Okada where he challenged for the title. So I think people are probably sleeping on him in terms of how far he's going to go in the tournament. So I do think he gets out of this block. And I think the G1 format and the 20-minute time limit, we will see more of his strengths than the sort of bloated, 25-plus minute matches that he had been forced into sort of the end of last year and the start of this year. So I think he will sort of be back to his best here. And Evil probably going to be just a shitter for the whole tournament. He's the night off match. I think it'll be funny. There'll be a lot of good shenanigans and creative stuff with Show and Dick Togo and what have you. But I think he probably has a lot of losses and then spoils Shingo on the final night. That's how I see Evil's tournament going.
Yeah, that's probably an accurate description of what will happen. Evil, I can't see playing that big of a factor. I truth be told, I'm kind of blown away by those numbers. It doesn't feel like he's that guy, though. I mean, obviously, New Japan is putting him in places to be, but I mean, am I off base here? Like, he just doesn't feel like a guy that would have those type of numbers.
Does feel like the sort of thing New Japan would do because, Finlay beat the crap out of him and took his Never title. For him to then come back and have a very, I'm not going to say triumphant G1 run, but a positive one would be the sort of thing that they do. I don't know. I had hand-waved him up until J. Michael pointed out that car placement thing, and then I thought, fuck, he's probably right. He's probably getting out of this block.
Wow.
I don't know what to tell you.
What an under-the-radar thing, though. Wow. Like, I think if you polled 100 people, 100 New Japan fans, I don't think they would remember or come up with that, or think of Tama Tonga as a guy that would have those type of numbers. Huh. You think he's winning it, huh?
Yeah.
I
think Hammer in first place, Finlay in second place.
Wow. I mean, I see it. It's not nonsense that you're talking, but I just can't see that. Can you? You can. You say it. I don't. Finley, yes.
Who have you got then going through together with Finley?
I mean, originally I had like Shingo. I don't think there's a lot of sexy options. Do you?
No, it's not the strongest block on paper. This is it's the tough guy block, the block where people are going to hit each other really hard. But
I'll say Henare.
I think
I'll go Henare.
Okay, all right. I respect it. All right, let's move on to D block then. So D block, we will open up again. This is also Sunday in Hokkaido. The first D block match is going to be Hiroki Goto against Toru Yano. You know what you're going to get from both these guys. You've seen them in G1s
A million times.
loads of times. Goto's going to hit people hard. Yano's going to be the night off match and do his unfunny shenanigans and irritate me. Both of them are going to end up with around sort of 4 to 6 points and do nothing else of note. On the final night, let's see, this is in... No, that's the wrong one. That's the C block one again. I've not done my preparation. So Goto has Zack on the final night and Yano has Alex Coughlin on the final night. So I don't think either of these guys are going through out of the block.
Yeah, I can't see it. I mean, they'll be, again, middle of the road guys. There to advance people forward and to knock people backwards. Middle of the road.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of thesis for this block of guys who've been in the same block, it seems like forever. So you've seen a lot of these matches many, many times before. So you can probably close your eyes and imagine what 3/4 of this block looks like. So also on night 2, we have Shane Haste against Alex Coughlin. Now, Shane Haste, again, I know the TMDK guys probably wouldn't have been in there had Aussie Open stuck around, but Shane Haste, I'm actually quite high on. I think he's going to impress a lot of people. I don't think he's going to do particularly well in terms of points, but I think he is a funny man, and I think his wrestling is going to be good, and people are going to be surprised at how good his wrestling is. Again, do I expect him to be in the mix on the final night where he faces Jeff Cobb? No, I don't. I think that's probably an easy with a Cobb, but you never know. And again, interesting to see him paired off with Coughlin, whether that's going to lead into some sort of tag situation in the future. I could easily see TMDK against the War Dogs being a thing. Alex Coughlin, big opportunity for him here. You know what he can do. I'm particularly circling in my calendar him facing off against Jeff Cobb and the inevitable moment of him deadlifting Jeff Cobb, because that's got to happen and the crowd are going to lose their minds and it's going to be really good. But, you know, this is a huge opportunity here for Coughlin wrestling against guys like Goto and Zack and Naito and Jeff Cobb to make a name for himself here. And again, I'm not expecting him to be racking up loads of points and being in contention. Like I said, final night, he's got Yano. That's going to be a nothing match. But huge opportunity here for Coughlin. So how do you see Shane Haste and Alex Coughlin getting on?
Yeah, I can't see Shane Haste making too many waves, right? So what you're hoping for is match quality. And I think he can deliver. I think in that block he can deliver. But yeah, I mean, he'll be lying down more often than not, I would think. Who's the other one? I'm sorry.
Coughlin.
Look, there's plenty riding on him, right? They finally have some confidence in the guy, and he's delivering. I don't see him winning the bracket, his bracket. But I would think he'd be in the mix, right, till the very end. I would think. I'm so excited about like all these guys getting a shot. Like I'm thrilled. I wish. I don't know. Don't you wish Carl Fredericks could have stuck it out?
Yeah, I do think about him a lot, and I wonder if he's happy with the decision that he made. I mean, I'm not casting aspersions on how he's doing in NXT or NXT Level Up, whatever it is he's in, because I do see clips of him. He was in a big thing with, what's the guy's name, the rapist, or the guy who was accused of rape.
What?
Gable Stevenson. The I'm not making this up.
What happened? You know what? We're gonna get sued if this.
Okay, so this is no. Are you familiar with Gable Stevenson?
No.
Have you heard of him?
I mean, I've heard the name, but I don't think I've ever seen him.
All right, so he is a wrestler.
Okay.
And he's an Olympic gold medalist.
All right.
That was it.
Okay.
So he signed with WWE in 2021. And there was a sexual misconduct investigation against him where him and a fellow University of Minnesota amateur wrestler were arrested in June 2019 on suspicion of criminal sexual conduct after a female reported to authorities that she had been raped, but charges were not filed against them at the time, and they did not face criminal charges due to inadequate evidence to fairly charge and prosecute, which, come on. Need I say more about that? I'm not going to say more about that. Anyway, why am I talking about this? Carl Fredericks.
Yep.
I mean, would he be a fit in this current iteration of War Dogs? I'm not sure. I don't know, but
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really mad that he was left out of that G1 that time ago. So probably would, to be honest. But the road not taken.
Yeah. I mean, they remember that tournament and the Young Lions tournament or whatever the fuck it was, and him winning that, and like it felt like they were.
And he was supposed to face Kenta in the New Japan Cup before COVID struck.
Yeah, just terrible timing. But I do. I wish something could have been worked out on that front, because imagine him now there. Fuck. Oh well. What are you gonna do?
He'd be cooking.
Yep.
Well, let's continue with D Block then. So on night 2, we have Hiroshi Tanahashi against Zack Sabre Jr. I think the play here with Tanahashi is do sort of like the Ric Flair retirement thing. Now, I'm not saying that I think this is going to be his last G1, because I think if it was going to be his last G1, I think you'd want to promote that and try and make some money out of it. But I could see this being his last G1 as a sort of a credible wrestler. I could see it all sort of falling apart for him, and sort of by the end, he's sort of desperately trying to hang on. So I don't think he is going to be making that out of this block. And I think there's sort of a different story to be told here with Tanahashi, which is more, can he cut it anymore story, rather than is he going to make it out of the block. Zack Sabre Jr., he's great. I mean, we know how good Zack is. He is holding the New Japan World TV title at the moment. On the final night, Tanahashi is facing Naito. So that, I think, is going to be... Again, it wouldn't shock me if that's the kind of, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, not I'm sorry, I love you, but...
Destino has them up. Sorry.
The battles that these guys have had. What am I trying to say here? Where it's been historically competitive, but I think that match has an opportunity for a lot of pathos, where Tanahashi just cannot compete, and Naito not squashes him, but basically just puts him away comfortably and is sort of looking at him like, man, what happened to you? And I just think that is the direction for Tanahashi. And for Zack, on the final night, he has Goto. Yeah, I think Zack's going to go through. What do I think? Do I think he's going to finish first or second? I think he's going to finish in second place in his block. So, I have Zack going through. How do you see Tanahashi and Zack doing?
I see Zack going through. I see Tanahashi in the mix. Here's the thing. For years, how many years have we said, yep, he probably doesn't have much left in the tank. This is probably going to be one of the last title runs, last main event, last this, last that. I want to remind everyone that while, yes, the output has not been at a level that we are accustomed to, this is a man that finds a fucking way, right? and he's done it for years. Now, eventually he's not going to be able to, of course. I don't know if that's now or if that's 2 years from now or what have you. If he has anything in the tank, which I still think he does, it will be on display. Like, he will do everything in his power to shine. And again, however he does it, whether it's a couple Tylenol or whatever magic elixir they have back there in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he'll find it and take copious amounts. It's Hiroshi Tanahashi, and to me, I can't count him out. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's the same guy that he was, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. But I find it very difficult to write him off, only because I've been writing him off for 6 years, 7 years, it feels like. So, in the same breath, Joel, I don't want to see it in front of my eyes. You're going to have ample opportunity to either see him go to the well again and have a memorable G1, or you're going to watch the demise of a pro wrestling legend in front of your eyes. Eventually it's got to end. I don't think this is the last one. I think he has more in the tank, and I think he will deliver. I don't want to write him off, but that might be just me being, I don't want to see 7-8 matches and watch the demise. Like, that doesn't turn me on.
All right. Well, we've got two people left in the D block. We have Tetsuya Naito and Jeff Cobb, who will face each other on night 2. I see this one being a Jeff Cobb win, where Naito starts off on losing, lose 1 or 2 matches, and everyone think, oh my God, he's going to fuck it up again. But I think he wins the block. I think he's going to go on a winning streak on the final night. As I say, he's got Tanahashi, and I can't see any other outcome than Naito beating Tanahashi on that final night and winning the block. So I think Naito goes through and goes very deep in this tournament. Jeff Cobb, I don't know, it's a shame, but I feel Jeff Cobb had his moment, he had his push, and that just happened to be the COVID time. So I don't know if he's getting that back again. I could see him being in the mix in the final night, and it wouldn't shock me if he does go through, but I just think if I have to pick between him and Zach, I'm picking Zach at the moment.
Yeah.
And I just feel that, maybe Cobb has a more productive future as a tag wrestler with Okan than he does as a singles wrestler, because I just think his moment may have passed.
Maybe. I mean, he's definitely a guy you can heat up again. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody is expecting Jeff Cobb to make it out of the block. But in the mix, he'll somewhat be in that mix. But yeah, I'm in the same boat as you with Zach and Naito. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me wanting it, but do you think it would be preposterous to have Tanahashi and Zach?
So what? Tanahashi defeats Naito and eliminates Naito from the tournament to go through. Yes, I think that is preposterous.
Okay.
I think that would be mental, personally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, it is Hiroshi Tanahashi. Come on. Yeah. All right.
Well, I've always said my motto on the podcast this year is it's 2023. All bets are off. Let's get wild.
Yep. Let's. I'm more excited for this G1 than I have been in a long time. Truth be told, this one has a lot of interest.
Yeah. Right there with you, man. This is just talking about it with you. I'm so excited for Saturday. Cannot wait. There's just nothing hits quite like the G1, that sort of buzz you get when the first show's rolling around and everyone's watching it together on our Discord, all chatting about it. Now, look, we have done this before. I think we have given our picks previously, but a lot has changed since then. We've had a lot of interesting conversations. So I'm going to ask you one more time for each of your winners and runners-up, and then we'll go through our brackets for the latter stages of the tournament and give our hilariously incorrect predictions for the rest of the tournament. So, A block winner, I have Sanada. Who have you got?
Sanada as well.
A block runner-up, I have Shota Umino.
Who did I have? Look, I'm really high on Ren, so I'm going to go Ren.
B block winner, I have Okada.
I think that's the safe pick. Me too.
B block runner up, I have Ospreay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
And C block winner, I have Tamatonga.
Wow. No, I can't do that. That's the tough one, man. That's the tough one. Finley?
Right. C block runner up, I have Finley.
Do I make Tamatonga? I mean, you're right, though. You can't fucking ignore those numbers. All right.
It's either him or Shingo, isn't
it? Yeah. As crazy as it is for me to say, I'll go for him second. The numbers don't lie.
D block winner, I've got Naito.
Yes.
And D block runner up, I have Zach.
Yep.
All right, so that means for quarterfinals, my first quarterfinal, I've got Sanada versus Finlay, and I think Finlay wins. I think he gets his win back from the New Japan Cup final. Your quarterfinal would be Sanada against Tamatonga.
Yeah, I think Sanada. Well, I mean, Tamatonga would make for a decent title defense. Am I going fucking Tamatonga?
I've got you absolutely Tama-pilled.
Yeah.
Just with one incidental piece of data.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. That is a great nugget. Wow. All right. Well, Naito's.
No, you got Sanada against Tamatonga as your quarterfinal.
Right, but I'm thinking, so how do I back? Who's going to, how do I back into like Naito? I cannot believe Tamatonga, but sure, why not?
All right, so you're having. So we get this right. Tamatonga to defeat IWGP World Champion Sanada.
Yeah, and he'll be in line for a challenge. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, mine was Sanada, Finlay winning. All right, Okada. We both got Okada versus Zach, and I am having Okada winning.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that makes the most sense.
My next quarterfinal, I've got Tamatonga versus Ospreay, and I have Ospreay winning. You have Finlay versus Ospreay.
Ospreay wins.
And then my fourth quarterfinal, I have Naito versus Shota.
Ooh.
And as tempting as it is to book Shota to get his win back and make it all the way to the final. No, I'm going Naito. No, Naito all the way. You've got Naito versus Ren.
Yeah, Naito. I'm taking.
Okay, so then your semi-final, my semi-final, I've got Finlay versus Okada, and I have Okada winning that. You have Tamatonga versus Okada.
I don't like that, but yeah, Okada's winning. Either of those. Yeah.
And then, we've both got Ospreay versus Naito as a semi-final, which will be a repeat of last year's semi-final, was Ospreay versus Naito. This year, I'm picking Naito to get his win back and win against Ospreay.
I'm going Ospreay.
So that means your G1 Climax final is Okada versus Ospreay. Again, a rematch from last year. Who's your winner?
Willie Ospreay.
And my final is Naito versus Okada. My favourite match. And putting on my clown makeup here, Tetsuya Naito to win the Grade 1 Climax.
Wow!
Going to Wrestle Kingdom, baby.
Woo! Here we go.
That's the punchline. The punchline, like 90 minutes of analysis and breakdown.
Hey, look, I love it. I love it. Listen, we said at the beginning, none of this shit's going to happen, but okay. Yes, love it.
And we'll end the podcast there. So redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to throw some money our way. Always appreciated. Discord link you can get by sending me a direct message on Twitter at Cobra Kawaii and prowrestlingtees.com/super-j-cast if you want to buy one of our t-shirts. Thank you to Editor Dan. Find him on Twitter at LousyHero219. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great shows. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Follow us on the dying platform that is Twitter at the Super J-Cast. Thank you everybody for listening, and goodbye.
Hello there, my name's Neil David and I'm the host of Eurograps Express, the podcast exclusively dedicated to the wrestling of Europe. If it's wrestling and it happens in Europe and it's good, we talk about it. Whether it's Rev Pro, Progress, WXW, Passion Pro, Pro Wrestling Chaos, Pro Wrestling North, we don't care, we talk about them all. If it's good and it's exciting, I want to share it with you. We're on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Check us out on the feed, check us out on Twitter at EuroGrapsEXP, and join us for chat about European wrestling and a little bit of chat about cheese. Hopefully see you there.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.